the cage. Oh my goodness! Happy New Year's.
Wow.
All right, so that may look like fun and games, but popping champagne is actually one of the most common New Year's Eve injuries.
Caused by our own Abby Huntsman.
My goodness.
And it's just one of the many dangers you could face if you go to a party with Abby Huntsman, if you ring in the year 2017.
Well, sorry, I'm not partying with you.
Yeah.
Here to help us separate fact from fiction when it comes to holiday hazards is Dr. Nancy Simpkins. Good morning,
Morning.
Doctor.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So we've got our little paddles here, our little true and false paddles. And, you know, the champagne cork, obviously we're making fun of it. So I've heard this story for years, this idea that champagne corks can really, there's a lot of injuries every year.
Right,
I
okay.
can attest to that.
Is it true?
Right, I watched you yesterday, and it was really frightening. So let's try to talk about why medically it's so frightening. Okay, so let's start with the first fact. Champagne corks can pop at 50 miles per hour.
50 miles? I'm going to say true on that one. Based on
Yeah,
Abby's.
I'm going to go with true. You said it's dangerous. So.
Right, it is true.
True.
And the biggest danger, we as doctors always say there's pain in champagne, so always remember that, right? It's the angle of the bottle, cover the cork with a towel, otherwise you really risk eye injury.
Pointing at your friend's face.
It could have been a lot worse for you.
Right.
You should feel lucky to be alive today.
Right, you could have had one eye not working this morning.
So we really...
Welcome to Fox this morning.
Right, we really have to
here.
be careful. How about the fact that champagne should be left at room temperature?
Why would you want to drink warm champagne?
But I think it's a trick
I'm
question.
gonna go
I'm going to go
false.
true.
Should be kept at room temperature?
Right.
False.
False.
It is false because number one, you're right, who wants to drink it? But number two, the pressure in the bottle at room temperature gets higher instead of lower. So keeping it cold keeps the pressure under control. So therefore, when you pop the cork, it's less dangerous.
Got it.
I remember when I first started in the news back in whatever it was, 1962, I remember hearing about
His birthday today, by the way.
story.
He's 80.
I'm 85 years old today. Thank you
And
very
looking
much.
good.
I've had a lot of work done. So if you had, like back then, you hear all these stories every year that when people go out on New Year's Eve, they'll fire out guns in the sky, and people are getting killed all over the country with celebratory gunfire.
Right, okay, so it's really not such a common practice around here, but for instance in Puerto Rico it's very common practice on New Year's Eve. And is it true or false that the gunshot that can go up into the air can fall at 700 feet per second?
It's also very common in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Celebratory gun. No, I haven't been there.
That's right.
Yes.
In Middle Eastern countries and close to us in Puerto Rico, and it is true.
Wow.
And then it's head, neck, and shoulder injuries, and it can puncture the skin with serious damage.
Of course, what goes up is...
Must come down.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so now let's talk about drunk driving. The most dangerous day of the year to drive is New Year's Eve. True or false?
Most dangerous of the year to drive.
New Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
You mean the night of...
Oh, I asked my question.
Okay, New Year's Eve. I'm going to say false.
Oh, so good. You're exactly
Yeah, 'cause
right.
New Year's Day.
You're a good
New Year's
listener.
Day after midnight really is much higher.
So like 1 in the
Actually,
morning.
number one is Memorial Day. Number two, July 4th. Number three, Thanksgiving. But then New Year's Day is always in the top
Well,
five.
we have to drive into work at like 4 a.m. tomorrow.
Right.
That could be interesting.
I'm going to be walking, which is
Right,
going
so
to be
let's be
dicey, too.
careful.
Well,
The last one we need to talk about, of course, is fireworks. And there's a lot of fireworks. We have them here tonight in Central Park. So 12,000 injuries a year due to fireworks.
last
True or
one real
false?
quick.
True.
True.
Yes, true.
Boom.
Of course. What are the injuries? Hands, eyes, inhaling gun smoke.
Foolishness.
Great to see you
Okay.
this morning.
Great
Happy
to see
New
you
Year.
guys. Great New Year.
Thank you for keeping us
Celebrate
safe.
carefully.
You got
Thanks so much.
We got more